Please tell me you've seen this movie. All right, everybody, today we're going all the way back to 1981 to look at a gem of a motion picture. I'm sure you've all seen Blazing Saddles. I'm sure you've all seen Young Frankenstein. I know you've all seen Spaceballs. But have you ever seen History of the World Part 1? Well, either way, you're going to learn about it today. So, before we go any further, before we dig into this anymore, once and again, and as always, to the trailer.
From the naked dawn of man to the magnificence of the Bible.
The Lord Jehovah has given unto you these 10 commandments.
From the glory that was Rome to the dark evils of the Spanish Inquisition.
For now begins the Inquisition.
To the French Revolution with its squalor and its splendor.
The peasants may grow violent.
They are my people. I am their sovereign. I love them. Oh!
History of the World, Part 1, starring...
It's good to be the king. More women! More wine! More!
And submit to the king. Lust for one.
Oh, that's lit. Oh. Chip, you're beautiful.
Shut it! Let's end this meeting on a high note.
Hey, what country you from? Ethiopia. What part? On 25th Street. Oh.
I'm Miriam. I'm a Vestal Virgin.
I'm really sorry to hear that.
Should have been here over 30 grains ago.
Please relish me.
Gee, I just ate.
Drama.
Do you require a blindfold?
None.
Have you any last words?
None.
Test! Dunk your teeth!
Holy shit.
Action.
Where you going? I don't know.
Romance.
Say when?
8:30.
Spectacle.
The Inquisition. What a show. We know you're wishing that we go away. But the Inquisition's here and it's here to stay.
Mel Brooks' History of the World, Part 1. 10 million years in the making.
All right, this motion picture was directed by the legendary Mel Brooks. Let's go. We're talking about Dracula Dead and Loving It. We're talking about Robin Hood Men in Tights and Life Stinks and Spaceballs and High Anxiety and Silent Movie and Young Frankenstein and The 12 Chairs and Blazing Saddles and The Producers. Come on, man. That shit there alone makes him a legend. All right, let's keep going. Okay, playing Moses, and Comicus, and Torquemada, and the King, and everybody else. Mel Brooks, of course, he's been in the movies that I've just mentioned, and he's been in some other things too. We're talking about, he was in the Muppet movie, he was in Screw Loose, he was in The Little Rascals, he was in To Be or Not To Be, and he was on TV, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Mad About You, Frasier, voice work. So, obviously, as a director, legendary career. As an actor, kind of legendary career is what it is. Doesn't make a difference, just the way it goes. Playing Emperor Nero. Oh, man, I love this dude. Legend in my mind in the comedy world. We're talking Dom DeLuise. Let's go by the numbers. We're talking about, he was in stuff like The Muppet Movie. He was in things like Blazing Saddles, and The 12 Chairs, and The World's Greatest Lover, and Hot Stuff, and Fatso, and The Cannonball Run 1 and 2, and The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, and Johnny Dangerously, and Smokey and the Bandit 2, and a motion picture that I will cover someday, because I think it was probably one of the greatest comedic acting performances I've ever seen committed to film. We're talking about The End. We'll get there. Playing Empress Nympho, Madeline Kahn. Oh, man. Okay. She was in Clue. She was in Holy Moses, in the Muppet Movie, and High Anxiety, and Blazing Saddles, and Paper Moon, and What's Up, Doc, and First Family, and Betsy's Wedding, and she was on TV, man, you know, stuff like Cosby, and she even had her own show, believe it or not, but you don't remember that, called Oh, Madeline. So, Madeline Kahn, talented up the yin-yang, really, I mean, let's keep moving. Playing Count the Money! Count de Monet. The legendary Harvey Korman. Let's run the numbers. We're talking about he was in little things like Americathon, and Herbie Goes Bananas, and High Anxiety, and Huckleberry Finn, Jingle All the Way, but really, come on, I mean, probably most of his fame is in TV. You know, Mama's Family, The Nut House, Love Boat. He actually had a show himself called The Harvey Korman Show. But really, his two biggest things that he's always going to be remembered for is Blazing Saddles and The Carol Burnett Show. Above all others. Above all, even above this. Blazing Saddles and The Carol Burnett Show. And that is not a bad legacy to leave behind. Playing Madame Defarge, Cloris Leachman. Hell of a career. Let's do this. We're talking about she has been in little things like High Anxiety, and Young Frankenstein, and the North Avenue Irregulars. I bet you none of you remember that shit. Oh my god, that was cool. And Herbie Goes Bananas, and the Muppet Movie, and Fooling Around, and the Beverly Hillbillies, and Texasville, and tons of TV. Tons of TV. We're talking Malcolm in the Middle, and Wonder Woman, and the Mary Tyler Moore Show, and Rhoda, and she actually started her own show, Phyllis. So, she was around for a long time, had a hell of a fucking career, is what it was. Lastly, playing Josephus. A man that died way too soon. This guy was talented on every goddamn level. We're talking Gregory Hines. Let's go. We're talking about he was in little motion pictures like The Cotton Club, and White Knights, and Running Scared, and Wolfen, and Deal of the Century, and Eve of Destruction, and A Rage in Harlem, Renaissance Man, Waiting to Exhale, the Preacher's Wife, and TV. TV too. Will and Grace. Lost at Home, Little Bill. He actually had a show, The Gregory Hines Show, believe it or not. Guy could sing, guy could dance, guy could do everything. Is what it was. And there's also an unbelievable amount of faces in this motion picture. I mean, they're everywhere. You can't watch this thing without 5 seconds going by saying, that's hey, that's they, hey, that's that. It's loaded with people. I'll just spit out a few names. I mean, you got Pamela Stevenson, and she was like, you know, she popped up in that one Superman flick and a whole bunch of other shit. You know what I mean? Shecky Green, legendary comedian. Sid Caesar, come on, legendary comedian. Ron Carey, Jesus Christ, guys, come on, man. Barney Miller, you all know. John Hurt, Alien. Elephant Man, legendary shit. B. Arthur, she's been everything from Maude to a goddamn Golden Girl. Pat McCormick, are you fucking kidding me? Just picture in your head Smokey and the Bandit. So, they are in this, and I'm telling you, a plethora of people beyond them is in this motion picture. Just keep looking, keep an eye out, you'll see them, just the way it goes. Alright everybody, I'm going to try to do this in 90 seconds or less. Keep it short, keep it fast, keep it entertaining, keep it moving so we can all get to where we would much rather be, the summation. Now this is going to be a little bit weird because how do you really have a story presented to you when it's just a whole bunch of little vignettes? It is what it is. Not much of a story, just a whole bunch of sections. I mean, the motion picture starts out with this like ripoff of 2001 where you see how mankind came from the apes, and then it turns into, you know, you're watching a bunch of cavemen hanging out in a thing, doing some drawings, learning how to do fire. It is what it is. Jump ahead a little bit more. You're talking, you are hanging out with Moses and the 15, pardon me, I mean 10 commandments. And then before you know it, you're in almighty Rome, where you have Comicus and Swiftus. Swiftus is a manager, Comicus is a comedian, and he's getting a job. Well, before he does that, he kind of saves a horse from being whipped, kind of helps out a Vestal Virgin, kind of helps his slave up who's being basically fed to the lions, and they team up and they go off and all kinds of adventures ensue, and one has to pretend he's a eunuch and the other one has to, it goes wild, folks. They have to perform for Emperor Nero and all kinds of shit. I gotta go past it because there's more of this movie. Anyway, you go past there, and then you go into France, where you're about to have the rebellion, and you have the almighty Mel Brooks playing the king. It's good to be the king. And then you have Mel Brooks playing the king's stand-in. Well, not so good. And of course you got Harvey Korman playing Count de Monet. Piss boy, whatever. It doesn't make a difference. This motion picture is just a bunch of little slices of time in history with little stories to fill in each one, and they are just comedic. No, I almost forgot to manage the Spanish Inquisition. The Inquisition! I almost forgot that part. That's in there too. All kinds of ground is covered. All kinds of things take place. And everyone, especially Rome, especially France, and the Inquisition, are given really, really, really cool time slots, and it is what it is. Okay, let's get to the summation. How the hell do you describe a story that's like 6, 7 stories? Who cares? All right, everybody. Does History of the World Part 1 work? Damn right History of the World Part 1 works. It actually kind of burns me sometimes that nobody remembers this one as much as Blazing Saddles, or as much as Spaceballs, or never gets mentioned as much as Young Frankenstein. Am I saying it's as perfect as some of those? No, but it is damn good. You guys got to check it out. Before we go any further, once and again, as always, let's run the numbers. The big three, you know what I'm talking about. The directing, it's Mel Brooks. You've seen one Mel Brooks movie, you know how he directs a movie. It's based on comedy, it's built on comedy, it's all about catching the scene perfectly for a comedy. So, is he going to give you something that looks beautiful like Spielberg? No. Is he going to give you something that looks amazing like Ford? No. But, for what you get, and how he frames it, and how he sets up those scenes, he does a good job. Enough said. The writing! That's what makes a friggin' Mel Brooks movie. It's the writing, the shit they say, the lines that take place in this movie does not disappoint. It's loaded with humor. You're going to be busting the gut at least 18, 19 times. Maybe a couple jokes fall flat. Maybe a couple more of the best. But there's enough in here to keep you busting the gut and splitting your side. That's all you care about. In the acting, I gave you a list of the people that are starring in this goddamn thing. Come on. Mel Brooks is always great, especially in Mel Brooks movies. Let's face reality. Madeline Kahn, gifted. Gregory Hines, guy could do no wrong. Guy could do everything you needed him to do. And then you're talking about somebody like Dom DeLuise. Are you shitting me? One of the great comedic actors that for some reason doesn't get mentioned enough in that line. And what's Harvey Korman? Come on. He is awesome in this. As the pompous, arrogant, whatever you want to call him, Count de Monet. He's perfect. And you actually can't picture anybody else playing that character after you've seen Harvey Korman do it. All right, now let's get back to why this motion picture works. First off, it's a Mel Brooks movie, and you know one of the things that he does brilliantly is he takes modern subject matter and puts them in, well, a non-modern time, whether it was in Blazing Saddles or whether it was Spaceballs or whether it was Robin Hood Men in Tights. He will take modern subject matter and throw them into a different era or into a different time, maybe even touching some of the subject matters of those times, and make you laugh your ass off at them. There's so many modern touches of the modern world snuck into places where they don't belong, and it's that weird, farcical, over-the-top, bizarre, this doesn't belong here humor that a lot of times is just going to make you laugh your fucking ass off. For some reason, when I seen this motion picture, I just walked around saying to everybody I knew, yo, did you see that part where the guy's walking through Rome with a boombox playing Funky Town? That's what I mean. Shit like that doesn't belong, but when you see it, you're going to bust a gut laughing at it. When they go to Caesar's Palace, and it's really the Caesar's Palace in Vegas instead of like something that would be period appropriate, that kind of shit just kills you. It's brilliant, it's well done, it's funny as shit, and it's a Mel Brooks thing. And like other Mel Brooks things, he has musical parts in there. And he did it to boot in this motion picture. I mean, there are musical numbers in this thing. The whole Spanish Inquisition scene seems just like something out of some 1920s, 1930s extravaganza, when they even have the part with the girls going into the pools and the sparklers on their hair and the writing and the wording and all the old-time comedians popping up. It's a gem. It's a gem. And in a way, it kind of exposes a younger audience to all these great legendary comedians who pop up in this thing over and over again with one-liners, whether it's Sid Caesar or whoever. And they're just like, this is awesome to see these old gems work. These guys that aren't around anymore. Amazingly, Mel Brooks still is at the time of making this. And you get to appreciate these guys for who and what they are. Also, can't forget that one of the things he does brilliantly is breaking that fourth wall and just looking right into the camera and just smiling or saying something crazy. Like Burt Reynolds used to do, but this is even crazier and funnier and more brilliant. My wife watched this movie with me the other night. I don't know, she had to see it in the past, but it completely fell out of her head. And there was the end scene where they're in France, and he keeps walking around looking at the camera every time he does something outlandish. He goes, "It's good to be the king. It's good to be." And she looks at me and she goes, "Son of a bitch, this is where you got it from." Because that's one of my lines I use when I walk around and do something crazy. I just look at it. It's good to be the king. Completely being a dick and just laughing. And it came from this motion picture. See how ingrained in our culture, and, well, at least my world it is? Now, is there anything bad about this motion picture? Not really. Maybe it's not his ultimate best work, as though Young Frankenstein or Blazing Saddles would be, but it really is right up there. And the only thing bad is that if you go to see this motion picture now, and you've been exposed to all the other motion pictures, you might feel like, okay, I'm getting the same kind of gags a little bit over and over again. I get it, it's a Mel Brooks thing. And because so many people have done their own takes on the Mel Brooks thing and ripped off that style of humor and ripped off that whole thing, it might not hit you the same way if you're seeing it for the first time today. You're probably still going to laugh, but you're going to be like, okay, I get this irreverent, zany, farcical humor. Where back then, when you seen his flicks that were running that gambit of the 70s into the mid-80s or something like that, they were really killer and really knocking you on your ass because you were seeing something that not everybody was doing. Not everybody could perfect like that, with a sense of writing and comedic timing from actors that doesn't happen very often. All right, folks, get out there and watch History of the World Part 1. It is gut-punchingly funny. It's completely politically incorrect. Thank you, God Almighty, that you can go back and watch movies that are politically incorrect like this or Blazing Saddles or whatever and just laugh your ass off and have a good time. Nothing in it is mean-spirited or cruel, but it is just fucking funny and hilarious and the kind of motion pictures you will never see again. So, get out there, check this gem over, look it up. Watch it and have yourself a good time. You will not regret it. You will not be disappointed. And I think you'll have some fun. Be good. Take care. Stay out of trouble. Always help a friend. Always be kind to a stranger. But above all else, under no circumstances, at any time, ever, and I mean ever, take any bullshit from anybody. See you soon.